How do you learn who you really are? It's not found in books. It's found on the battlefield. All right, what's up, warriors? Welcome back to the Battlefield of Mind. All right, today I have a special guest, somebody who I'm very excited to have on today, because this is my right-hand man. This is the guy who we've been in the last, 3 years, we've gone into battle. We've won battles. We've led battles. We've lost battles. We've gone through all the ups and downs. We've built things together. We've broken things together. We have gone through just about every single trial that we can go through. We've slayed dragons, we've broken curses, and we've beaten some pretty nasty demons. This is my guy who now I'm so proud he's breaking into his own and actually built something that's a passion of his that's led into something that's going to live a ripple effect in generations to come. So I've got Chris, the mechanic. That's his code name, Miller. Just one thing, I'm just gonna be so excited. His high mind side. You know, I talk about mind, heart, body, spirit. This guy's far mind side when he started off, and he's cracked into his other elements. This guy, the reason he's the mechanic is he will break it down, take all the pieces apart, figure out how to put it back together in a better way, and it works better. So he's just really good at that, and he's actually a real mechanic. So that actually just two things at once. Chris, I'm happy to have you here, man. I'm excited.
Man, I appreciate you having me on. This has been something I've been wanting to do for a long time, and now we've actually got something that we can go over and talk about that's going to help everybody else that's out there going through all kinds of stuff.
Yeah.
You know, that's what it is I'm excited about. You know, I don't know if you guys know or anything on here, but the place that I've created, I call it the Mechanics Garage. And it's basically where I do all my work. It's not a space where we work on cars, though. It's a space where men go that are tired of winging it and wanting to lead with intention, especially in things like fatherhood and what legacy they're going to leave behind. But honestly, it's not just a polished program. It came out of absolute necessity. And I think that's what makes it incredibly awesome. It's not anything that's just, therapist fluff or anything that you're going to hear all over the place or a motivational thing you'll see on a cat poster. It's all stuff that had to be lived to figure out first.
When we get in, what's the thing, man? They're like, so what's your program? What's the thing that you're like, this is the passion child of mine that I had to build? And I kind of want you to just break down that evolution of like, this is the need, this is the fire, and this is why I built it.
Well, let's start with this. The program itself, it came out of my own teardown and rebuild. You know, growing up to begin with, I was the oldest child. That meant that I wasn't really allowed to need anything. I was more or less the mirror. Like all of my worth came from performance, whether it was grades, behavior, just keeping it together. It was one of those things where I was more expected to just be quiet and handle things myself rather than having any kind of instruction. You know, especially once my parents got divorced, it got even louder. I'm old enough to understand to take care of myself. But what it actually seemed like it meant was I'm old enough to disappear, and you better do so quietly because we don't want to hear anything from you. My dad did that by fear. Mom used guilt. Stepdad didn't want me around, and my stepmom decided that it was perfectly fine to just strictly deal with appearances. So I just shut everything down. I stopped expecting anything safe from anybody, and I carried it all throughout my adulthood. And for a long time, that standard that I had was just don't do what my dad did. That's what I thought the gold bar of achievement was. I never realized how low that was actually putting the bar, how low it was setting what I could actually accomplish just by doing good enough. But I had no example of what was better than good enough. I had no example of what great even meant. And that's one thing that I got to thank you for was warrior training opened up a lot of that stuff for me and took the blinders off so I could see a full picture. It got me asking those questions. What does it mean to be a good dad? Not based off of somebody else's blueprint, but my own. The program that we have that helps guys figure out their own blueprint, it's called Be the Dad You Wish You Had. Honestly, though, it could just as easily be called Be the Man You Needed, because that's where the core of this is. We all had dads at some point. We all had things that were passed on to us. We all had examples that were taught to us that we just took on as this is how it's supposed to be. This program that I've got, it's a 13-week rebuild of all of those systems. It's not just a parenting course, but a complete teardown of the emotional patterns that we inherited. All of that anger, that avoidance, that control element, I provide guys a tactical framework to build something that's even stronger than what they had. Now, some of the weeks that are in there are going to hit on the fatherhood side of things. Some of them are going to hit as a son, and a lot of them are going to really just hit as a man who's been running somebody else's blueprint for too damn long. So I think there's a lot of stuff there that just about anybody really can benefit from, because most of us had just been doing good enough, doing what we were taught beforehand, but never asking what else is there.
It's tough. I like that you're using like the terms that you have, like, you've been around long enough, or we like the blueprint. It's someone else's blueprint, and oh, you have to do a rebuild on this. I love that you got your system that's like, this is the lingo that I use, and like the authenticity of what you're doing. I love it, man. I gotta say, it's just hearing your stuff and the way that you like. I just know how you've grown. I'm so proud, dude. I'm like, fuck yeah, this is a good program, and like I know how you're set up, and I know how you work, and I know how you work with the guys on the Warriors Way side, and I know how you do your thing. It's like I'm very excited to see like this evolve and this grow and this have the guys who go through and go, man, this really got me on track for like I didn't know what it meant to be safe for my kids. My dad never showed me that, or my mom was leading and I have no idea what a guy's supposed to do, and now you're helping me figure that out. And like it's pretty cool. What's one of the biggest like impact things that you had to make it so like if there's one thing that I need you guys to know why this is beneficial, like what's one of the ones that guys, every single one matters, but this damn thing right here, what's one that you wish you could just, I want to put this in your hearts, fellas.
Biggest thing for me. So I've got 3 weeks in here that are really huge, I feel like. First one that I'll say is the concept of the mirror. Like, we have to face who we've become before we start trying to lead anyone else. Otherwise, somebody else is steering the wheel that we're going through life with. I also have things on coins. That's one of the big concepts throughout this whole thing is what side of the coin are we doing? The things that we were taught, or are we actually choosing to do something different? One of those being love. Are we offering love or measuring people with expectations? Are we praising the effort in our kid, or are we only praising the results, making them feel like they're only loved when they accomplish something? But all of that aside, the biggest one for me was quite simply the father wound. That's week 10 of the program. Healing what was handed to you so you don't have to hand it down. I butcher this quote all of the time. Today's probably not going to be an exception, but if a battle may come, may it come in my day so my kids don't have to fight it. I'm pretty sure I butchered that, but it's one of the biggest reasons why this whole program came to begin with is I wanted to stop the curses that I had to deal with from being passed on to my kids. Then I took it a step further. Each home in America, they say, has on average 2.2 kids. I don't know where they get the 2.2 from. Like, that point 2 is kind of weird, but hey, whatever. We'll just go with 2, right? So if each home has on average 2 kids, if I can help one dad, I don't just help the dad, I also help the 2 kids. So that's 3 people right there. That's how we stop these curses from continuing generation after generation. That's how we leave behind a legacy for our kids. And again, if you don't have kids, guess what? You're still leaving behind a legacy. You may be an uncle. You may have a younger brother. You may have somebody that you work with, even that doesn't have this example of what a good man looks like. He may be looking to you for that example. No matter what, we're leaving something behind.
I love that, dude. You got the ripple effect thing, man, and this is where it's gonna get tough because like, you remember the line in Gladiator, "What we do in life echoes in eternity."
Mm-hmm.
Like this is the one where like, man, this is where you and I are aligned. Is like I'm gonna help this guy, and the kid may know that he's working with Chris. The kid may know he's working with Ray. They may know, but then after that, they're gonna be like, "Grandpa was awesome." And
Yeah.
then my dad was really great. And then my dad was really great because like they'll never know the work that was done here. And the thing that's a testament to what, we both are aligned on this is we plant seeds in other people's world that we'll never get fruit from. It's not about us, and I think that's why you and I have been able to lock shields for so long. It's like, you really are good at going, I'm going to help you fix this, but I'm never going to be driving this car. This is your car.
I think so. And, that's honestly, I have a lot of car references in this program. I don't want people to get scared away because of that either. That's just the way that I simply teach it. And quite honestly, you might even learn something about cars in the process of going through that. But Reason I even say any of that to begin with is I actually got to thinking about legacy the other day and why it's so incredibly important. A lot of guys will look at like classic muscle cars, right? Like old Mustangs, old Camaros, things like that. I'm like, oh, that's a sweet car. And like I would love to have something like that, right? But you can go and buy a brand new Mustang or Camaro off the showroom floor. It doesn't have the same feel, doesn't have the same value. It doesn't just have that status or that symbol behind it, right? But it performs better, handles better. It's a lot more safe. There's a lot of attributes that are very cool about the newer ones, but we still yearn for those older ones. And I think it's because those classic cars like that, I think there's a legacy that was left behind by those, the time frame that they were made in, the memories that were created, just the general story about all of that. So what I like to think of it as is like we're basically buying a car version of ourselves, because we can relate all four sides from us to a car. You know, if we look at it that way, the mind is going to be like the dashboard and the computers in the car. Your body, obviously, it's going to be the body of the car, heart side, steering, and suspension, because that's what keeps you on the road and keeps you pointed at where you're going. And spirit's going to be more of the fuel and ignition system. It's what actually turns the motor over and pushes it down the road. If we start looking at some of the stuff like it's an actual car and an actual vehicle, some of it starts to make sense. We can take these older cars that still have that legacy, that something about it that makes us want to push it forward and become even better. And we can start resto modding it. We can start putting in newer engine, new suspension. We can make it safer. We can do all this stuff to build that incredibly awesome car that we've wanted for our whole life. We're just basically replacing that car with fatherhood.
Agreed. I like it, man. I'm excited for this thing. I'm looking for the guys to jump in and go, damn, this really turned me around. I had to break the curses for my kids so that I can teach my kids to break the curses too. I love it. Okay. Let's kill something. Let's show them what we do. I'm excited to show them what we do. And like, you already know that I got a couple of them because I actually helped out with like one of the things in the program. We can kill punishment. We can kill one of the ones you want to get. What's one where you see the dads like, God, I wish I would have fucking known this, man. I wish I knew this earlier. I would have saved my kid a whole bunch of just damage. What's one of the things you want to tackle together? Let's show them how we work.
Oh, dude, you know me. I don't want to go for the low hanging fruit on anything like this, because even if this is the only thing that you guys ever hear from me, I still want it to be impactful and you get something out of it. So one of the biggest things that I've seen over the past couple of weeks is guys tying their worth, their purpose, and their value to what their parents actually said they were going to be able to accomplish, blocking themselves in a cage, essentially, never allowing themselves to do anything better. And the crazy thing is, most of the time, our parents didn't intentionally do that to us. They had the best of intentions, just very poor execution. But even with those good intentions, that poor execution leads to a cage being placed around us our whole life. Things like, you know, well, you could have done better on that. I know that you could have. Now, most of us hear that line and we think, well, that's actually being pretty nice and pretty sincere. Like, man, I know that you could have. We're just trying to push our kids to do something better. But we don't think of it from that kid point of view of that means I didn't do good enough. If a kid hears that often enough, they're going to start thinking that they actually aren't good enough. That's going to become their whole mantra in life. It's going to turn from a judgment to a shame. When that takes place, they quit trying for things. They quit putting in effort to move forward. They all of a sudden become that person that embodies not good enough. And when that curse takes place, you don't get anything but complacency. Nobody ever tries or pushes themselves. And these are our kids that we're talking about. This isn't somebody that's 40, 50 years old. This is taking place when they're 15, 16, 17, 18 years old, right when they're starting their life. And we're putting a cage around them, telling them they're never going to be good enough.
Those are three nasty curses on it right there, just you talked about, which sounds like good intentions, like the limiting beliefs from people who, you could have done better. You could have done better on that one. Is like, it sounds like, hey, I believe you could have done better, but it also teeters into misplaced criticism. Then it gets into how you could have done better. You could have done better. And like, as a trained warrior, you're going to be like, are you talking about me or you? Who are you projecting on right now? Are you talking, I could have done better? Or are you talking about you could have done better? because you're putting that on me. Wait a second. Wait, hold on. And then, well, it's not good enough. And that's how the internalization of without explanation or without teaching, it just sounds like criticism.
Mhm.
And that makes it so I'm not good enough. I'm not good enough. And now I'm going to go out into the world going, I don't know. I couldn't even get to the approval of people who are supposed to love me. How the fuck am I going to do with people who don't know me?
Yeah. Next thing you know, you're sitting here wondering why your kid never comes home or opens up to you about anything. Well, you made home feel unsafe. You put a hook in front of the door and they have to put a mask on when they walk into the door now. And you wonder why they aren't being authentic with you, why they're hiding, why they're keeping secrets. You taught them how to do that. No wonder. That's why the very first week is the mirror. We have to look at those things first off, because even if it's not something we speak, we're still showing them how to do something. If we're having a conversation with our wife, they're looking at that and noticing, hey, this is how you act in a relationship. They see us talking with friends. It's the same thing. It's not just the stuff that we tell them. It's not just the storybook Hollywood father kid scenes that you see all the time that make a difference. It's all the times other than that that have the impact.
It's true. And they do what we do, not what we say. I want to, let me know if this one doesn't go program wise for you, and I'll start going into the weeds a little bit. Here's one that I see commonly that dads goof up, and I feel like they goof up. But when people believe staying together in a loveless marriage is somehow for the children, what do you think?
Dude, I think that's one of the biggest misconceptions that's out there right now. Again, we're teaching our kids what is okay. I tell this to guys all the time, quite honestly. You're either teaching your son how to be a man or you're teaching your daughter what to look for in a man. So look at what you're doing right now and what are you teaching your kid? Is your the way that you talk to your wife, is that how you want your son to talk to your wife? Is it the way that your relationship going? Is that what you want your daughter to be in a relationship? Because that's what you're teaching them is okay. Staying is probably the most detrimental thing that you can do in that kind of a relationship.
Yeah, it
You're
causes
not
a lot of
teaching
damage.
you're not teaching them strength. You're not teaching them accountability. You're not teaching them boundaries. You're teaching them that somebody else gets to determine who you are, how you feel, and what it is that you're going to do. You're
You're,
putting it all out there for somebody else to handle.
and you're teaching them that love means no connection, no intimacy, no
Mm-hmm.
conversation, no
Yeah.
growth. Love means being separate. Love means sleeping in different rooms. Love means all these things. And they see a very disconnected existence as the example of what marriage means. And then as they get older, they pick a side subconsciously. Am I going to be more like my dad or more like my mom? It's not gender associated, it's behavior associated. And they go, well, I didn't agree with what my dad did, so I'm going to be more like my mom. That she seemed like the better one. Or I didn't agree with my mom how she was doing that, so I'll be more like my dad. And then they start taking on the bad traits of like, well, which side of the relationship are you going to be on? The aggressor, the passive aggressive one, the one who's in denial of their entire situation. And that love now is just a constant stream of suffering and survival. And there's no thrive and there's no growth. That's a really nasty thing to show your kids how to love.
Yeah. And most of us have no idea that we're even doing it. Because again, we have the best of intentions. We're trying to do things right. But again, nothing got taught to us about how to do things right. So we're just doing the best with what we know. And the unfortunate part is, for most guys, the best of what we know comes from movies, TV shows, and social media. I don't know about any of you guys listening right now, but that's not who I want to be raising my kid. But if I don't ask any of those questions, if I don't see if this actually fits, if this is what I want to present to my kid, all I am is the vessel that they see it through. I'm not teaching them anything. I'm allowing that to raise them through me.
All right. So these guys who are on social media right now listening to this podcast, if they're listening right now, all right, help me out. So what am I supposed to do then, man? What am I supposed to do? How am I supposed to like do what then?
So the first step that you take, guys, go onto our website, enterthegarage.com. On there, I have buttons all over the place. Like you can't miss them. It says book a live Q&A call. We do those every Wednesday at noon Central. If you got questions, if you got something you're not sure about, if you're just like, how does this even work for me? Am I even the right guy for this? Book that call and hop on a call with us so we can go through that specifically with you. Because I'll be quite honest, guys, like this isn't a program that is for everybody. As much as I wish it could be, it's just simply not. You still have to be willing to put the effort forth and actually get something out of it. You have to be willing to look in that mirror and see what's looking back at you. If you can't do that, then honestly, no, this program isn't the right one for you, because we're about going through and actually killing demons and breaking the chains that we're passing on to our kids. But if you're not willing to notice that they're even there, I can't really help you. It's just as simple as that.
Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Warrior, thank you so much for being a part of the information that we have. And you're part of our story as we are a part of yours. It's very much an honor to be able to connect with each other. If you want to know more or you want to get started with working with me or working with our warriors so that you can begin your path to authenticity, strength, leadership, and accountability, this is the way. Together, we are way stronger. Now you get to choose. Do you go forward or keep doing what you've always done? If you stay where you're at, hey, click on some of the stuff and follow what it is. We got motivational stuff. We've got podcasts. We've got more things. Just subscribe and do the stuff and we'll keep you updated. But if you want to start going in, start jumping into what our programs offer and start your journey and being the hero in your own story.
All right. Now, if there are women who listen to the show because they're like, what are the guys talking about? What are the guys talking about? What would be the advice for, like, why should I have my guy do this? Or what do you think a good thing to help the women go like, no, this is actually beneficial for you too? What's the benefit for the ladies?
Because no matter what, as men, we lead the house. Everybody looks to us whenever things start to go wrong, whenever the problem arises. We have to be ready for that problem whenever it comes. We can't just hope and continue going through life that it's going to figure itself out. We've already been doing that for way too long to begin with, just trying to do the best that we can. But again, we don't have any good examples of what else we could be doing. We're just treading, keeping our head above water at this point. For the women that are out there, sure, the name of the program is Be the Dad You Wish You Had. But what happened if I told you that it could also just as easily be the husband you wish you had? Be the man you wish you had it's just all encompassing on this stuff. Because no matter what, we had those examples passed down. We just continually emulate them because we don't have any other option, or at least that's what we've been taught.
So let's give some new options, new tools, right?
Yeah.
New tools, new equipment.
Yeah, that's why I fall back to blueprint on this, man. Like, my blueprint was so jacked up to begin with. I can remember being a kid after my parents got divorced. They tried sending me to therapy. Now, it was a couple of years too late. By that point, I had already completely armored up and emotions out the window. Like, I was a master of it at that point already. But I didn't need therapy. I didn't need somebody else to tell me how I was supposed to be. I needed somebody that could hand me tools to build my own blueprint. That's what I like to offer in here. I got a cool ass toolbox for you guys, and it's full of tools. I'll teach you how to use the tools, but you still got to turn it by yourself. But that's where the work pays off, because then it's authentically you. Then you're not just running around doing, oh, this is the mechanic's blueprint. This is the, by God given rules that you have to do this and you'll be a good dad. No, that's not what I'm saying whatsoever. What I'm saying is I'll teach you how to make your own, so that way you can authentically be the dad that you wish you had.
What's one of the biggest victories that you can say, like, dude, I've had to fight this one and I overcame this one in order for you to say, like, I'll teach you why this works because I had to fight it too. What's one of your biggest victories?
The biggest one, quite honestly, was actually catching everything that took place in the past. I recognized that the biggest loss I had to deal with in life was the loss of my childhood and what all that meant I was doing moving forward. I'll put it to you guys as plainly as I possibly can. We're already driving down the road of life. Now, we all know when we drive a car, we hold on to the steering wheel. That's how we determine where we go. Those wounds from the past that we haven't healed from, the ones that we don't talk about to anybody, hell, the ones that we don't even bring up for ourselves, those are the ones that are driving, not the new version of us right now. That pain and that hurt, the one that screams louder than anything else, is what steers the wheel in our life, which means that's the version that our kids get. That's the version that our wife gets. That's the one that our friends get. That was what it was I had to overcome. I had to quit letting the 12-year-old version of me drive the wheel. I had to go back and quite honestly, I just had to be like, dude, what is it that you need? And I had to go through and search through that very, very heavily to figure out what did that 12-year-old version of me needed. And honestly, he needed somebody to just show him that what he was feeling was okay, because he was told that it wasn't. Now, one thing that I will share with you guys too, this is one that gets me quite a bit, but this is what I mean by I know that this stuff works. I'm sure a bunch of you guys, it wasn't but a month ago we had Father's Day. Now, if you guys are anything like me, 3, 4, 5 years ago, I'm getting Father's Day cards that say, "Hey, love you, happy Father's Day." That's the end of it. Now, I'm not saying that as a bad thing. I still loved getting those cards for sure. But compare that card to the one that I got this year. To say I'm proud is the understatement of the century. Not only am I proud to be your daughter and have you as my dad, I'm proud of how far you've come the last few years. You're very hardworking, determined, creative, open-minded, and fun. To be able to have you as one of the biggest role models in my life and to be proud of it is one of the best things. You lead, help, answer questions, and somehow always find a way to make me laugh. But most of all, you understand and support me. And just so you guys know, yeah, I'm not bullshitting with you here on that one. That's not what I do in this program. I don't give you any of that fluff. It's straight from the heart, exactly what it is that you need to hear. Now, keep in mind, I said need to, not want to, because some of the stuff you don't want to hear. But that's what doing this stuff gets you. That's what turns you into being the dad that you wish that you had. Because again, no matter what, we're either building a legacy or repeating a pattern. And if you've made it this far into the podcast, you already know too much to go back. That choice is already presented in front of you. So as soon as this ends, you have to choose. Am I going to build a legacy I'm proud of, or am I going to repeat the pattern that was passed on to me? If you want to choose to build that legacy, go to that website. Go ahead and sign up for one of our Q&A calls so that way we can get you into becoming the man you wish that you had.
Man, that's beautiful, man. It hits me in the heart. I'm like, man, your daughter's a great writer.
It took me, well, actually, till about this week to be able to read that without tearing up and bawling like a baby.
I think that's a big testament to people to understand, us men, we have big hearts, we're big givers, and we may be hard on the outside, but we're big old softies on the inside. And it's almost every guy is just a big softie on the inside. I think people, especially societally today, don't understand you're talking to a human. And man, these kids will fill your cup.
Absolutely. I mean, I think a lot of it boils down to, we think that leading means having all the answers. And I know that was one that I fell into very, very often, was if I had to say the words, "I don't know." Oh, dude, that was the worst thing that I could possibly say. We'll put that on Carlin's list of 7 words you can't say on TV, right? But real fatherhood isn't about control. It's about calibration. We're not building clones of ourselves. We're shaping human lives. And most of us are still reacting to our own dads, not leading from who we were, what we were taught. We're still basing everything off of what they did. So a lot of times we overcompensate on some of these things. Or even worse, we completely disconnect and disappear. We miss that leadership starts with presence, not perfection. That's why I don't tell you I'm going to make you guys into the perfect dad, because the perfect dad does not exist. But I will teach you how to be an authentic, present dad. One that looks at himself and actually asks the question authentically of, am I doing a good job?
This is a tougher topic because there's a lot of dads who are I wish I could be around more. What's the advice for the dads who they really are stuck, whether it's a 50-50 or every other weekend or whatever the situation may be? What's your advice for dads who are I don't get the time with them that I would like to do? What could I do?
Wouldn't that make the time you do have with them that much more valuable?
Yeah.
I mean, what's the other answer to just be the fun dad, the friend versus a parent? Look, if you guys want to do that, then again, this course is definitely not for you. If you want to let somebody else raise your kids, by all means, go ahead and go and do that. But if you actually want to be the parent in their life and be that example for them, then you will definitely do so. Because it doesn't matter if you see them every other weekend in a month out of the summer, or if you see them every week, you're still teaching them things. So if you want to be the fun dad, what is it that you're teaching them? If you want to be the one that lets them do whatever they want, what do you think that teaches them? Guys, that's what this is all about. No matter what you are doing, I cannot say it enough. You are the example that your kids look to, unless you choose not to be. That's also letting somebody else make those choices, though. You're letting somebody else raise your kids.
Who are they going to be then? They're going to be something else. I want to go back to how you said that one of the biggest losses you had was your childhood.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's a good testament that being able to train with you is going to make it so that, like, you get to give your kid the beautiful gift of being a kid. Like, I can give you the space to actually just grow through the phases of being a kid instead of having to skip a whole bunch because now you got to be the man of the house when you're 10 years old, or you got to figure out how to survive on your own because I didn't set you up with structure, safety, or security. So now your childhood is going to be a mess because you're put into hyper adult situations way before any kid is supposed to, which just robbed you of being able to be a human who can develop through the phases of human. You skip a bunch and it makes you have a huge gap in who you are.
Yeah. I look at it as this. I didn't become adult until I was 34. It took me that long to figure out this whole thing without having any kind of idea of what it was supposed to be. When my parents separated, there was a good amount of years that I didn't talk to my dad because of that controlling nature. My mom wasn't really around that much either. She was off doing her own thing, and she thought that being the fun free parent meant that I would be happy with her, right? No, I was fucking alone. I didn't have any example of what to do or how I was supposed to be, so I hung out at friends' houses more than I did at home. Quite honestly, I was in the garage with my friends' dads more than I was anybody else, just looking for some semblance or some way to move forward, some kind of idea as far as what my destination is. The biggest thing was I didn't learn how to feel any of this because I didn't want to. I learned how to disappear and perform, how to keep things running on the outside while I was completely breaking down on the inside. But I couldn't show anybody any of that kind of stuff because the one thing that I was taught was that's not what a man does. Either you withdraw or you get angry. Those were the two things that I was taught. Nothing else whatsoever. Matter of fact, there was one day that, man, the biggest thing that you even slapped me with was, man, I kept using the word feel when I was thinking. And that was good enough for me to get by thinking I have emotions under control because I said the words I feel. Doesn't matter what came after that. I said the word feel. That counts. It doesn't work. And I didn't learn that until, quite honestly, until it was almost already too late. You know, kids weren't really doing too great at that point in time. I wasn't a good example. Both my boys are fighting all the time. They're doing the exact same stuff that I was doing, and then I'm getting onto them for it. How is that even fair to begin with? I taught them how to do that, and now I'm getting mad at them for doing what I taught them. Where does that make sense? That's when I started seeing those patterns. Again, not just in how I showed up, but more importantly, how I avoided the emotional vulnerability altogether. I realized that I wasn't leading any different than my dad was. I was just doing it in a different way. The results were the same. The strategy was the same. I just kind of prettied it up and put some sprinkles on it and told myself that it was different. But it wasn't even close. I was running from the exact same stuff that my parents taught me. And that was what I almost passed on to my kids.
That's hardcore, man. It's good too. It's good. One thing I want to point out is how much, like, we're talking about the parents have taught me these things, but then you're leaning more into like, so what am I supposed to do with this? And it keeps being a heavy accountability conversation. I have to break this. I have to take care of this. Yes, my parents did their best, but they didn't know what they were doing. And so who's going to have to do this? It's me. I've got this. I've got them covered. I've got me covered. I've got my girl covered. I've got my people covered. Like, and so I want to give a testament. What's your thoughts on, like, hey, as these guys that you're training, do you push hard on accountability?
Oh yeah, that's one of the very first things. Like I said, week one, the mirror. You have to take that accountability as far as what kind of a dad you currently are. And it's not to say that you're doing a crap job. It's not one of those things where you come in week one and I just rake you over the coals for the stuff that you're doing. But we have to be aware of it because the only way that you can find a solution is if you know what the problem is to begin with. Otherwise, you never hunt for an answer. You don't think that you need one. Being that accountable man is the first step in being a great father. And it's the first step in raising great kids, because now you're teaching that lesson to them too. That's breaking that first link in the chain just by stepping up and saying, I don't know what I'm doing. How great of a place is it to actually admit, I don't know? We've been taught we're supposed to know all of the answers already. So we're faking it. We make it up. When we can actually let loose and be like, I don't know what it is I'm doing. Perfect. That's exactly where you're supposed to be. Because now you can learn. Because that's where the growth takes place. It's in the things that I don't know.
There's that. But also, you mentioned this mirror. You keep mentioning the mirror. The mirror can show you me. I can see me. But also, what are car mirrors usually for?
Well, for looking back behind you.
Yeah, so also I can learn from my past. This mirror of like who I was and what I did and how I did things before is also a pretty good indicator of like, well, that shows me what not to do and it shows me what to watch out for from what I've done to be able to see who do I really want to be. And there's probably a good amount of like, yeah, but Chris, I really fucked up, man. I already did some damage on my kid. I already fucked up. I already said some stupid shit, did some dumb things, already laughed. I already did hurtful things. What do I do?
Quit running. Quite honestly, quit looking in the rearview mirror. You guys know why you don't ever do that driving down the road, just looking in the rear view? It's because you're going to run into stuff in front of you. We have to overcome the things that took place in the past. Otherwise, there is no future. That's what keeps us stuck. It's like you're tying a ball and chain to the back bumper of your car, wondering why you can't move forward. That's what earlier on in this conversation, we're talking about the sentences that we place on ourselves. That's one of them. We put ourselves in that jail cell, but we're also holding the key. We're the ones that can open the door and let ourselves out too. Yeah, you might have messed up. You might have done something that you're not proud of, or, looking back, hindsight 2020. Yeah, I should have done that differently. Cool. Own it. That's a complete week in this program, is owning your mistakes. We have to be able to do that or our kids won't either. If we can't own our mess, they never will either. Owning your mess keeps you on track. It keeps you accountable. And that's what we get to show them too. That's where we lead from, honestly, is from that mess. That's where we become that stoic dad. Because the more human you are, the more deeply your child can trust you. Again, we're not perfect dads and we're not meant to be. We just have to be present.
Yeah. And how we choose to handle those things really is a representation of the safety security part. I mean, I think you got more boys than I do because I have 0. So it's very interesting too to be able to be the one where like you got your daughter, you got your boys, you got your people who can come to you and be the dad who's like, well, I don't freak out. I don't freak out. My daughters know, like, if they need time with me, I just like, you do know the door's open, hon. And then they're like, okay, I'm in this shit. But I already know my other parents are going to freak the fuck out. I know that you won't. And so it doesn't matter how crazy it is, because these kids, can we call it what it is? So like we're in an interesting time for our dads and our moms. We're in an interesting time right now. And this is where, we follow the Jonathan Haidt stuff, or you see the stuff where like these kids are exposed to everything. And we don't have any way to regulate, any way to teach on these things. They're getting information way more than from us. What do you think? And this is an opinion that I don't think you could answer, because even the world experts, like, we don't know yet either. We don't know. But I mean, like, what's your thought on like, man, there's so much information pouring into the kids. It doesn't matter whether it's social media or pornography or bad algorithms. There's so much stuff that these kids can just get access to. What's your suggestion for your parents to be able to like, here's a good place to start? What's your opinion?
Well, I think if we think back to what we were just talking about with owning your mess, most of us have trouble with that, because if we show weakness, they'll stop respecting us. That's kind of the thought that runs through our head a lot of the times. But let me put it to you guys this way. If we quit trying to be bulletproof, if we start being transparent, we get to let our kids see that we work through our old habits. We don't always get it right. And most importantly, we care enough to change. Reason I say it like that is because that's how you lead them through their own failures later, with that amount of grace quite honestly, with that amount of grit and guts to keep showing up and keep going. Every time you repair instead of retreating into your own mind, you're reinforcing that this family doesn't run on shame, it runs on growth. We cannot account for what's going to take place in the future, just like our parents couldn't either. I joke around with my kids that, I was around before Google was even invented, which of course they tell me I'm a dinosaur at that point because they've never known anything but life with Google. But we don't know what's going to take place in the next 5, 10, 15, 20 years. That's not a bad thing, though. That just means that we can prepare our kids and raise them the best way possible so that way they can face that stuff on their own. As crazy of a concept as it is, parenting is one of the hardest jobs to do because your whole goal with parenting is to raise your kids so they no longer need you. And you only have a limited time frame to do so. So I don't worry about everything that is outside of the house. I focus on making what's inside of the house as best as it can possibly be. Having those conversations with my kids, teaching them things by example, letting them know where my failures are so that way we can all learn from it together. We are all a pack and we face things as one unit together. If I ever do anything along the lines of trying to shame them, manipulate them, tell them how they should be or what they should be feeling, they're not going to come to me with this stuff. That means that I have less input on how they handle their future. That's how I prepare for what's coming without knowing.
So like the stuff that they're exposed to and stuff, I mean, this is really tough because like you said a couple bombs in there that are really strong, that this family doesn't run on shame. Like what fuel source do we use? It's not shame. If you're getting caught up in some stuff, I got to be able to not shame you for that thing. And I think there's something that I think that a lot of parents run into is like, oh man, my son or daughter is just, they're just being shitty. They're just shitty kids. They're being so shitty. You're like, well, who trained them? Who taught them to do that? Who taught them that that's how you handle that? And who taught them that if something is like they're doing something that they know is like this is probably leaning into bad behavior, that if they tell you, you're just going to go right into they're in trouble or they're bad. Like instead of being like, I can relate, this stuff was Google started when I was alive, man. Like I remember these are guys in a garage before it became Google. And so you're like, hold on, that's your first dinosaur dad. Like, hold on. Like that's a thing. And they're like, well, what is it now? We don't know what to do with it yet. You guys have access to everything. And they goof with the information too. How are you supposed to be able to go, hey, dad, what is this? If you're not the kind of guy who can go like, well, let me tell you, I was around when that thing started and it fucking got all of us too. They got all of us. We all got caught into it too. All of us. Everybody's getting wrapped up in this stuff because we didn't know what to do with it. It's new. And so we have a really difficult job as parents is to teach kids how to navigate stuff that was invented in our lifetime. There was no mentor. There was no teacher. We're kind of building deer trails here, trying to show them the way home.
The cool thing is, though, honestly, we don't need to know what's coming. We can teach our kids this kind of stuff beforehand. We don't have to wait for the house to already be on fire to start putting it out. We can start putting up smoke alarms here and there. So that way, if something pops up, hey, wait, I got an alarm here. We need to check this out and see what's going on, right? It's really funny. The easiest way to do this, all it takes is changing one letter. Connection versus correction. Most of us have been taught that you lead from correction. Discipline becomes a power struggle at that point. It's proving who's right, not what is right. We start teaching our kids and telling them how they're supposed to be instead of asking them what actually took place and trying to connect with them so that way we can work together. I want you guys to think really carefully about the way that was just worded too. If we're telling our kids who they are supposed to be, who tells them after they're no longer in the home? If we have been making all of those decisions for them, what happens when they're no longer here? They're going to try to find somebody else to make those decisions for them instead of having the ability to make the decisions on their own, to have this internal compass inside of them that dictates and guides what they do in life. Does this work for me? Does this not? Am I holding myself accountable? Is this authentic to the values that I have learned over my life? We teach all of our kids that stuff early on, and work with them throughout the years that they're with us. So when they leave, they have that compass inside of them that guides them instead of relying on Google or Chat GPT or whatever else is out there. They don't have to go searching for answers because the answers are already inside of them.
So this is good because now the kids got to learn how to trust themselves and their authenticity. You're teaching people to be able to live without you, which is let's just scream that one from the mountaintops here, because there's a lot of people who have this empty nest thing that they really like. Nope. I need them to need me. I need them to need me. And they do a lot of enmeshment or enabling to make it so kids have this failure to launch thing instead of being prepared to be authentic and how to handle things. They're taught that they can't handle things and I need you. Listen, how do we protect our children from this type of behavior? What do you think we need to start doing to make sure like they don't get caught up in this like enabling?
Well, I think the best way I could possibly put that comes from our buddy Dwayne Knoll. There's basically 3 jobs that you can pull off as a parent. You can either be a postman, a policeman, or a bemused observer. Either you're delivering the news to them and letting them do with it what they will. You're also delivering the news and telling them, no, you're not doing this because this is going to happen. This is a safety issue. Or you're just sitting back on the couch eating popcorn. You're watching them about to do something stupid and possibly get injured, but not life-threatening or anything. Sometimes you have to let them learn those lessons on their own. I think that's really how we start doing some of this stuff. We have to be willing to step aside and let them make choices for themselves. And then be that safety net, that voice of reason whenever things do go wrong. Now, keep in mind, this doesn't mean that you tell them everything is okay and all things are forgiven and they didn't do anything wrong or any of this kind of stuff. No, we still have to let them know, hey, you done messed up there. Do you see why? Like, let's talk about it so that way this doesn't happen again in the future. Because most of us growing up as a kid probably got, you're such an idiot. I can't believe that you did that. You knew that you were going to get hurt. What were you thinking? I mean, come on. And we wonder why we're all messed up whenever those are the things that are getting told to us all the time. I mean, to put it quite simply, it comes down to coaching over control. Are we trying to control our kids or are we actually coaching them into being a human? And that's not just mental stuff that we're teaching them, some of these tools. I'm talking about the mental, the emotional, the physical, like hit it across all sides. Are we trying to control who our kids are going to become, or are we coaching them to make their own blueprint?
Yeah, I like telling our kids who they're allowed to be. That seems fun.
Right.
Let me tell you who you're allowed to be.
Yeah, I guarantee if you start doing that, you're going to get a screw you, Dad. I'm going to be who I want to be. And then everything that they do is just strictly in spite of you. That's not authentic either, guys.
Depends on the cruelty of the parents, man. Because like, listen, I got at least one personality type in here is like, okay, if that's who you say I'm supposed to be. And the other one is like, as long as you think I'm good. And then I got one who'll be like, fuck that. Like, it depends on your kids. Like some of them will adhere because they want to make their parents happy. And some of them we've taught to rebel because I'm like, you figure out your path. You got this. It's tough because you don't know what kind of kids you got, but then also what kind of kids you build.
Yeah, we have no idea. But even in that scenario, like, okay, these are the kids that we end up with because, yeah, they're all different. If I say this one does this one does this, so on and so forth. Every single one of those responses is dictated off what they think you accept. It's not an authentic decision by themselves. They're still underneath control at that point, and they're not being who they are. And quite honestly, guys, it's because we aren't being who we are supposed to be either. We're still letting our parents control our decisions because we haven't let go of things from the past. We're still afraid to say this to mom or dad because they might end up getting upset. Or we only go over there just so we can keep up appearances or any other curse that's out there. If that's not something that you're willing to go through and defeat, then it's going to be the one that controls your life. That's going to be what's behind the steering wheel, and it's going to guide what direction you go.
That's some powerful stuff, man. I don't know if people are catching, like, you're dropping like nukes in the middle of this conversation, like it's a regular thing to do. And like some of those are really heavy things. And the behavior that we do as parents, we think it doesn't count for us because we're trying to do what we're trying to do here. And we're just trying to help the kid out. But I think I've watched parents who like their entire control system is lying. Like that's what they do. And I've seen, I'll lean more, the more feminine element does more deception. I remember being on an airplane. I had this little kid sitting next to me. Fucking wild. He was a riot though. He was funny. As a little kid, he was kicking the chair. I'm like correct him, like, hey buddy, don't kick that person's chair. He's like, oh right. I'm a stranger, but him and I are hanging, and like I'm watching the movie with him, and he's sharing stuff with me. But he was just like, oh dude, I'm pumped, and he was funny, and him and his sister were goofing, and they're funny. I'm sitting next to two little kids, right? But it was a good time, right? And then it's time to get off the plane. And this kid's single digit kid. He's a little guy. And I remember watching the mom go, you got to put your shoes on, buddy. He's like, why do I got to put my shoes on? And she said to him, she said, you got to put your shoes on because the floor here is dirty. It'll make your feet get sick. Like you'll get like bacteria or something. Your feet will fall off. You don't want to lose your feet, do you? And I was like, to get this kid to put his shoes on, you just fucking lied. This is not something that's lie worthy. But I can only imagine how many points in this boy's existence mom is going to lie to you to make you do what she wants you to do. Like, you think if I don't put my shoes on this plane, your feet will fall off.
And how far do you think we'll play around with it? That one time, one instance, one phrase. You don't put your shoes on and your feet are going to get dirty and they'll eventually fall off. You think that kid has a phobia about walking around barefoot now because that's what he was taught during childhood? And meanwhile, his mom is just like, I was just trying to get him to get his shoes on. I didn't know what else to do. So I just said, you need to get him on because of this, or this. I never thought about it again after that whatsoever. Meanwhile, our kid now has a complex about it.
Well, I think it's tough.
We don't know.
It's tough when your parents' main system of trying to get you to look after yourself is built on lie. Like, these are the things, like, be a good parent, be the dad you wish you had, or be like the dad's like, hon, we don't have to lie to the kid. Like, and even as a man, I'm like, babe, we do not have to lie to our children to make them be good. Like, that doesn't make them good. You can't, how are you going to teach them about not lying when you're constantly a liar? How do I do this? I'm gonna be like, nope, tell the truth. And then you tell the truth and then I punish you, but then I lie and I'm supposed to be like, well, you should have done what I said.
Yeah, do as I say, not as I do, right?
Oh my God, the curses that this brings to your kids. Like, your kid's brain is going to be like, Mom, you lie all the time, or Dad, you're lying all the time, or you're lying around all the time. You're not doing any of the stuff you say I should or could be doing. And yet I have a judgment, or I have to be punished, or I'm the bad one who needs to do better, or I'm not doing as much as I could have done. And I'm like, what behavior have you taught me to do? I want to go back to something that you did say. I want to go back to something you said, and this is something you and I have both conquered with people over and over again. And you know, I harp on this one hard. All right. Who took the last cookies in here? Who took the last cookies? Whoever did is in big trouble. Who took these? I am so mad. Somebody was not supposed to take these before dinner. Who took them? What are the kids going to do? Even at 3 years old, what's the kid going to do?
Yeah, not me.
I don't know. I don't know. Why? Because I just taught that anything that happens makes me highly reactive. And I just said they're in trouble. I'm going to punish somebody for cookies. No explanation. Just because I said so. This parent is deliberately, or even indirectly, deliberately teaching your child they need to lie to you. If your kid starts lying more to you, you're like, I don't know why they lie so much. It's because you trained them. You're not safe to tell the truth to because you punish without explanation. You taught them, if I tell you, oh, well, my sister ate the cookies and like she's in big trouble now. She'll be like, I didn't have any cookies. He had the cookies. Like, oh, no, you're in big trouble now. Somebody gets in trouble for fucking cookies. Now what's going to happen when something serious comes up? You're like, I can't tell my mom. She punished me for cookies, let alone something serious. I can't tell my dad. He freaks the fuck out. I can't talk to him. He's going to lose his mind. I can't talk to him. He's going to want to like beat everybody up and start screaming at people. Like, I can't talk to him. He taught me that telling the truth to my parents is a terrible fucking idea. And yet they tell me not to lie, but they constantly lie. And then they can't handle the truth. And they wonder why I'm not connected to them.
Yeah. That's when you typically will see parents tell their kids, well, you can come into me and you can bring me anything. And then they get pissed off when their kids don't bring them stuff. It's like, well, what do you think happens whenever they do bring you stuff? This is the way that you act. And then you cover it up with, well, you should be able to talk to me about anything. Kids like, yeah, you're right. I should be able to. But you get fucking crazy when I bring stuff up to you, so I'm not doing it anymore.
Yeah, you teach our kids. Our kids are taught, like, I can't come to you. You freak the fuck out. And yet, this is an indicator I can tell. Like, this is where we've worked with enough parents. If you have to justify your behavior, there's probably something up with it.
Yeah, it's so crazy how accurate that is. And it's so crazy how often our kids will show us that in the first place.
Mm-hmm.
Most of us have to deal with that at like 3, 4, 5, 6 years old. I mean, how many times have you heard why, or how does this work or anything? And we start getting frustrated with them for asking that kind of stuff. What do you think that is? It's revealing ourselves to us through our kids. Because we've been saying it all call. We're already teaching them all of this stuff. Then they start emulating and acting like what we taught them how to do. And then we get mad about it. Dude, how messed up is that?
It's messed up.
Yeah.
When they start doing what we do and then we want to punish them for our own behavior.
And then we try to justify it with, I'm just trying to do the best that I can. Are you, though? I mean, seriously, are you trying to do the best that you can, or are you just trying to do better than what your dad did?
Or are you just saying it so that way you don't have to be accountable to your really bad behavior that you just punished your kid for that you do?
Mm-hmm.
This just shows who you are if you're an authority.
Or here's even the fun thing you see sometimes too. You ever see the game where parents will start blaming each other for that part of their kid? Like, oh, he gets that from you.
Well, there's a part of it that's true. I think it's the lack of accountability of the parents. Like you said, like the guys we used to be are not the guys we are. And and you and I have evolved through. We've climbed so many mountains together. It's almost hard to look back at the old versions of us.
Oh yeah.
And like, so I remember I was more like, I was hardcore anger also, before I figured out all that shit. And I don't do that like that way. I don't need to. But there was an old version of me who was the aggressive Spartan who was like, fuck you, like I would be aggressive, And so Andrea and I, when we first got together, we were both unhealthy from very different points of view. I was far more aggressive. She was far more fawning, which is still a manipulation tactic. And the way she was doing it, I was like, we were both being shitty. We were both being controlling. And the youngest one, I'm pretty sure his chip on her shoulder was from these old days. We didn't fight as much. We would have arguments in front of the kids, but not all the time. But it was still, we weren't quiet behind closed doors. Like you could hear through those doors just fine. And I would be like, you know what? Fuck you. That's a fucking manipulation bullshit. Fuck you for that, and like it was unhealthy behavior. Well, we haven't done that in years. But I remember we just saw a video of our youngest and our middle one. Our middle one, they're all naughty. Girls are naughty as fuck. And so they're naughty. So she had a plate full of ice cream and she's recording. And while the other one's eating there, she just grabbed her ice cream and just smashed it in her face. Just ice cream all over her. Just rubbed it in real good. And the youngest one's like, what the fuck, dude? She's like, gotcha. Ha, ha, ha. And then she did more. And the youngest one, the quiet one, the one who doesn't get caught, but I know does bullshit. The quiet one is like, fuck you, like just fuck you. And I was like, oh, that one's me. that one was me.
Oh yeah, dude, my oldest son will do he does so much stuff that I look at that, I'm like, I taught him. And it's not like I'm proud of him like I taught him that yes moment. It's more like I taught him that, it's just like that. Because man, he does so much of the old stuff that I used to do as well, completely deflecting away from everything with knowledge and just spitting it out quick, and so much of that deflection mechanism so that way we don't have to actually deal with what's down deep beneath. I'm like, dude, I know that tactic because you learned it from me. I'm sorry I taught it to you, but let me teach you a different way. But there are totally days where it's like, yeah, that one's on me. But that's where a lot of this stuff starts, is you being willing to even say those words that this is on me. If it's not on you, it's on somebody else, which means somebody else is going to fix your problem for you. Do you really want that taking place with your kids? Do you want them to be raised by YouTube or Facebook or TikTok or any of this other stuff, right? Is that who you want raising your kids, or do you actually want to be the one raising them and having that connection? Because no matter what, they're going to seek a connection. If you're not going to give it to them, they will find one somewhere else.
Yeah. I think alleviating that accountability of like, that one was me. That's me. That's a huge issue I watch with the parents that we've talked to. It's like, shit. Actually, it's their fault. It's not me. It's not me. It's like, well, you're in the house, right? Well, yeah. But they do their own thing, and they do their thing, and she's like this or he's like that, and him, she. And I'm like, man, having blame and having excuses, those are luxuries.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's only because somebody else is there you can blame that, well, they didn't do it. That's still you. And I'll tell you right now, if I was watching my baby, I was watching my Andrea do some bullshit, I'd be like, hey, hon, come here. What are you doing here? You're going to do some harm to our kids here. Are you trying to harm the kids? She's like, no. Well, that does harm, babe. We're going to have to talk about this shit because you're going to hurt our kids. Like, you're doing a curse right now. You said some shit that may have been in jest or may have been something that you like, well, I just want to put their shoes on. I'm like, you're about to tell them that the ground makes your feet fall off. What's wrong with you? No, we can't do that. You're going to fuck your kid up. You know, I remember hearing some of this stuff, but I'm like, that's not true. When you get older, and this is an important thing. It's funny because you wonder why there's an issue with the parents or people become estranged. It's like, well, most of the childhood that you gave me was built on a premise of controlling me through deception. And once I realized you lie a fucking lot, it's really tricky to trust you. Well, how come our kids don't come by and visit? Because you can't stop fucking lying. That's why.
Yeah, it's
And now
about the only thing they can consistently keep doing is lying.
You can teach our grandkids to fucking lie a bunch. That's not good. Like, we're trying to make them honest people. But you can't teach that because you never took accountability to your own. Tell the truth. You wanted to punish everybody else because you weren't given the information to have control, because the more information you had, the more you could dictate who's in trouble and what to do with it. But you won't give the truth because you know what happens when you get it. And you fucking hurt people. And that's what you taught. For any of you parents who are like, I use the truth to make sure I do harm, you're going to make it so your kids don't want to be near you. You're like, I did everything right. Everything that I could. I just wanted what was best for them. I'm like, you can't play the victim. You're the villain.
That's honestly where this whole concept of coins even came from for me on this. One of it is what we were taught. The other is the cost of continuing it. Most people aren't willing to flip over that coin. They'll find justifications. They'll find excuses for why continuing to do things the way that they had been taught is okay. They'll make things up if they have to, just to make it acceptable. Guys, honestly, I don't really consider them parents. I just provide or consider them home providers. They provide a house. They provide food. They don't provide any teaching. When we raise our kids, like, it's not just kids that we're raising, we're shaping future leaders. We're shaping those who come after us. I don't think very many people really understand that. I think most people just look at it as, this is what I'm supposed to do as a parent. This is the bare minimum. And honestly, I've even heard this when I was growing up as a kid. You should be thankful for what I'm doing for you. What? You mean like keeping me alive? By giving me a roof and a bed? Like, I should be thankful for you doing the bare minimum? Really? Like, that's where you're going with this? Like, come on, guys. We can do better than this.
I do think they should be thankful for that still, though. Because they can't do it for themselves. So that's my bed. This is my house. Like, I do buy all that shit for you. You can be a little thankful. But if you're using those things as a justification to do unkind things, like, well, I do lie to you, and I do manipulate you, and I do shame you, and I do misplace criticism, and I do put you down, and I do tell you you're not doing good enough, and I do tear you apart, and I do question who you are all the time and make it so that you feel bad about things, and I punish without explanation. But you should be grateful because I bought a bed. Well,
Yeah.
now we start getting into, like, now we're just being really not, would you want to be on the receiving end of you?
Man, if you're doing something like that and you're legitimately keeping track in your head of, well, I did this, this, and this, so that means this and this and this, you don't have a relationship. You have a business interaction. That's it. It's transactional at best. No wonder our kid doesn't feel loved.
They'd fire you.
Yeah. in a
They'd,
heartbeat.
they'd fire you. You're a bad boss. I'm leaving. I quit. And that's what I think kids do. And this is where you watch people, the kids try to stay out of the house as much as they can. I think it's a really tough thing for parents to even understand. And this is being very open too. The women don't understand this because especially parents that are split apart. Women don't understand the value of structure, safety, security. They think that over nurture, enmeshment, and enabling is actually good. No, they need the male side. They need the side that's like structure, safety, security. And without that, our kids really struggle. This isn't just my opinion. Look up the studies of what does it look like with kids with just dads, kids with just moms, and look at the results. And so there needs to be this balance here between the parents of somewhere between structure, safety, security, nurture, love, and connection. But I think the parents who have to try to do both, the ladies really struggle with this structure element of these things. I think this is important to make sure that both parties understand the value of both parties without doing this emotional version of destroying the other one. What do
Yeah.
you think about watching some of these more difficult co-parenting situations?
And I firsthand the experience I had when it came to co-parenting, because look, my parents got divorced and my daughter was from a prior relationship. So I've been on both sides of that one. I've been the kid in the co-parent situation and I've been the co-parent too. And man, it gets so incredibly nasty. Like people forget about there being kids involved, and it comes down to who's doing something better than the other. What can I prove them? How can I use this to determine my worth or my value? How can I use this to shame somebody else to prove that I'm doing okay? It's no longer a co parenting situation, oftentimes. It's a battle between who's the better parent. But that doesn't do anything for the kids but provide instability. It puts more curses on them than it actually does help anything at that point.
It's also really interesting. I saw one of the guys in the group today. He actually put up there where he was talking about how the kids had to choose between living with mom or dad. And they said, I had to live with mom for two reasons. This is what the kid said. One, I think she needs me to take care of her. And two, I know that it would hurt her feelings if I didn't.
Mhm. Dude,
Look at those two codependent things that mom, you fucking failed. If your kid's like, well, she'll be angry or she'll be upset if I don't choose her. So I have to pick her or it'll hurt her feelings. And I'm responsible for her feelings.
yeah.
And she needs me to take care of her because she's not an adult enough to take care of herself. I have to take her on as my responsibility, both physically and emotionally. And the kids believe, Dad, I have to pick them. You're able to take care of yourself and able to take care of stuff. But I have to take care of mom because you guys didn't work out. And so now someone has to take care of her. The amount of loss of childhood that these parents are putting on the kids is brutal.
That's
Because now,
exactly it, man. I mean, that's exactly where mine came from. Dad never said take care of your mom when he left. That was something that I just was like, I'm the oldest guy in the house. This is what you're supposed to do. That's what everything I've been taught tells me. I don't get to be a kid anymore. I have to start working at 13. I have to start bringing in income because we can't make it on one income anymore. I have to start doing all this. I have to hold my emotions in because mom can barely keep hers inside of herself. I can't say anything to dad because it'll be used to go against mom. I have to be the one that takes on the brunt against brother and sister because they're younger than I am and they can't handle it the way that I can. Dude, quite honestly, it got to a point to where I literally was telling myself that I'm making all of these mistakes so that way they don't have to. That was the justification that I used all throughout my teenage years was, yeah, this is a stupid choice, but maybe they'll learn something from it, so that makes it okay. Dude, how screwy is that when that's the stuff that's going on? And it's not like that's a crazy story. That's more common than not. You know, I was talking with my brother yesterday and was telling him this that it took so long for me to figure it out because the home that I came from, it wasn't a horror story. There wasn't a bunch of abusive beatings that took place. There weren't times when we were struggling for food. You know, like there it wasn't these stories that you hear about all the time about growing up in such a poor environment that it took me so long to figure out that there was still stuff that was going on there that I didn't recognize. It just wasn't physical, it was mental and emotional. And I think that's honestly where a lot of guys get stuck, whether they're dads or whether they aren't. I think a lot of us had just enough of an okay childhood that we start putting the blame on ourselves for why this stuff isn't working out.
That's some heavy stuff, man. It's tough too. It's tough because these guys have to figure that out. Like, okay, so now what do I do? I want to lean some of these issues that we're bringing up back to like, okay, so what do we do? Like, what do we do here? Why work with you? Why work with us? Because we both work together in the Warriors way, but also like this dad program is Chris on his own. This is his program, his baby. Why do these things? Why work with us, Chris?
And for me, it's always been about it's not therapy. We've all probably we've all been in therapy at this point and didn't get much from it. You're there for an hour, they start doing a little bit of stuff, and then they're like, okay, we'll see you next week. You're like, wait a second, I still don't know what I'm supposed to do here. They don't actually really do any kind of work or any kind of help. It seems like they're more focused on getting the money than they are actually helping people. You know, quite honestly, either it's not like we're just throwing a bunch of motivational pep talk out there. You know, our core goal is to help guys. We don't just explore the story, we break it down into the four sides of body, mind, heart, spirit. Because we know that if you try to fix it all at once, it's going to implode. We also recognize that trying to heal the weakest side first, like a lot of therapists will try to do, isn't going to work out either. Triple down on the strengths. That way you can heal from a side of strength, not a side of weakness. That's how you start steadying out that wobbly board that all of your emotions are riding on, is just simply finding a balance. And we do all of it without any kind of shame, blame, or judgment, because we've all been there. And that's really the key difference. We aren't pushing anybody up into a situation or a scenario that we haven't been through. We're already up there. We're pulling you guys up behind us. We're pulling you up to our level. That means that we know what we're talking about because we've been there and already lived that.
That's good, man. Oh man, this is good stuff. I feel like this is just for you to me on this one. If anybody's listening to this, I think they're missing some of these. Like, there's some nukes that are getting dropped in these conversations, and you put like these zingers right in the middle of like a regular sentence, and I'm like, that's fucking strong, dude. These are some powerful things. I'd like to have people at this point be able to get to you. Remind them again, like, dude, this guy's got a shit. I want to learn more. I have questions, or I want to be able to have more time with this guy because what he's saying is stuff I need. And these are things I've made mistakes on, and I don't want to continue them. And I haven't seen an example of like, I didn't have a good dad role model. I didn't have that person that I can like bounce these ideas off of. What can we do? Where do we send them again? Just tell them where to go.
The website is enterthegarage.com. You can go there. You can go ahead and sign up for one of our live Q&A calls. We'll go ahead and go over a lot of this stuff with you and answer your questions on a face-to-face basis. I don't like the idea of having a frequently asked questions page because I don't know what question you're asking, so how should I be able to answer it? No, we'll do that face-to-face. I want to hear it directly from you so that way I can give you a response directly from me. Make sure that when you get to that website, you go ahead and sign up for the newsletter, and I'll send you one of our free journals as well. You can also find me over all kinds of social media. I think right now I'm on Spotify, YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, and Facebook. Just search for Mechanics Garage 417 and you'll find it.
Oh yeah, dude. Dude, I'm so proud of you. This is good. And like we've gotten a team up on these things to help you. Man, you've been working your ass off on this thing, and it's good. It's good. I encourage anybody who's listening to this, share this with somebody who's like, man, I know that there's a struggle out there. Or maybe they just didn't know, and this isn't a shame thing. Remember, I like that you said, like, this vehicle doesn't run on shame. This family doesn't run on shame. Like, it's not your bad. It's I just didn't know how to do better, but I'd like to. Mm-hmm. Come and hang out. I encourage everybody, call and check out with Chris. Just jump on and go, I want to talk to you. I want to ask questions. I want to see if there's more, and we should be challenging our leaders out here. We should be challenging, like, are you competent at this? Because I know that guy's worked on a lot of vehicles, and he can help you do your tear down and your rebuild. Chris,
absolutely.
I appreciate you, man. Thanks for being on here today.
Dude, thanks again for having me. And I'll tell you, to this day, I don't think I'm ever going to not say this. I know we say we don't blame, shame, or judge in here, but dude, I'm totally blaming you for taking the blinders off and even allowing me to see all this in the first place. So, yeah, I guess I'm breaking the rules here and throwing blame your way. So sorry.
We don't say sorry in here either.
Yeah. All right, there's 2 strikes. All right, I'll go for a third. No.
So funny. Man, and I could be more proud, and I'm so honored too, because when there's somebody I got to lock shields with, you're the first one I call. I appreciate you so much for being the leader that you are, and the man that you are, and the dad that you are, and the brother that you are. Thanks for being that guy. I appreciate you, bro. Really do.
And I appreciate you as well.
All right, let's get out of here. We'll do more of these later, guys.
Click on the button and you can become the hero in your own story. It's time to start making the choices to change. And the evolution that you're going to do begins with choosing the next step. This is the way. And together, we're always stronger.